I felt deep remorse for my brief moment of conceit. I had forgotten. I am furniture. Furniture isn't human. So I am a being who must feel grateful for even being treated like a human. And I am not permitted to wish for anything more. Even if people develop affection for furniture that they're used to using, that is an emotion on the human side, and the furniture has no right to hope for that. They should just serve with simple honesty every day. But that feeling I felt when talking with George-sama and Jessica-sama is a forbidden drug for me. In other words, it may have been an emotion I must not know. Shannon, you have been too distracted for a while now. Are you feeling ill? No! My apologies. Natsuhi's words, too distracted, were right on the mark. Even Shannon couldn't believe she hadn't noticed Natsuhi until she had been called. This was supposed to be the time where she had to concentrate on the cleaning, but she had just kept sighing and hadn't accomplished anything. Even if there aren't any guests, you must always be alert. Acting like this is shameful as a servant working for the Ushidamiya family. Yes, I will take care from now on. The head and my husband will return very soon. Have you finished cleaning the study? Have you finished cleaning the staircase? My apologies. Not yet. Yes, I know. So I had Lunnon do it. While you were plodding around cleaning the hallway, she finished cleaning the study and the staircase. That's because, I wanted to clean thoroughly, so it took some time. Shannon was simple and honest, so she could always carry out her tasks seriously and properly without any omissions. So she was always slow with her work. In contrast, Lunan skillfully cut corners wherever they could be cut. So she could complete her jobs with the result that looked similar to an outsider, but in a much shorter time. In other words, she was shrewd. Compared to her, they should say that Shannon, who had just talked back to Natsuhi when she was already in a bad mood, was not shrewd in the slightest. Of course, there was nothing that Natsuhi couldn't stand more than a servant talking back. Her forehead creased, and she spoke sternly. And yet her speech was slow and admonishing, which was terrifying beyond measure, and finally made Shannon realize that she said the wrong thing. In that case, you shall clean as thoroughly as you desire. Shannon, I order you to clean the reception hall right now. It is an important hall, where several pictures treasured by the head are displayed, and where honored guests of the Ushidamiya family are invited. Clean it thoroughly, so that not a speck of dust remains, and so that even you are satisfied. Of course, you will finish today. Until you finish and report to me, you will not be permitted any food or rest. Understood?
What a bitch.
Yes, madam. You'll say that about every Umineko character at that point. You'll like him, then start hating them again. Then like him and start hating. Yeah, that tracks. That is good. Servants should endeavor to use only those words. The next time you talk back, I will give you an even more severe punishment. So keep that in mind. Engrave these words in your heart. Yes, madam. Thank you for your guidance. You are welcome. Natsuhi headed off down the corridor, making a gesture as if her headache was troubling her. Once Shannon couldn't see her anymore, she hung her head and sighed. This happened because I let my thoughts take me. I might be bad at everything I do, but I should at least be able to carry out the cleaning as well as an average person can, right? Can't even do that properly. It's so pathetic it makes me cry. And there's something even more pathetic. Not only was I unable to perform a single bit of cleaning well, but just now, when Natsuhi was scolding me, I was envisioning him appearing and rescuing me. If only George-sama had been here, perhaps he would have casually stepped in and saved me. I'm sure he would show up cheerfully, intentionally acting like he doesn't know what's going on, nimbly change the subject and make me forget I was ever reprimanded by Natsuhi. I kept envisioning it, suddenly appearing from the other side of the door, or the other end of the hallway. I envisioned the kind of person that would be an appropriate partner for him in a marriage meeting, and I envisioned how unfitting I am for him. Eva told me that clearly. It had repeated endlessly through my dreams.
You're still as clumsy as always, Nissan. Madam has been in a bad mood since this morning. You spoke out of turn when you should have hung your head in silence.
Canon-kun. Canon was suddenly there. His footsteps were always quieter than a cat's, and he left no trace of his presence. She probably wouldn't have noticed him no matter how long he stood there. The expression on Canon's face was hatred. That expression he was making, he surely made for Shannon, who didn't know how to do so herself.
Madam in London can go to hell. She knows where Madam checks, and only cleans those areas. Her cleaning just now was just like that. I know because I was watching. She wasn't cleaning in any real sense of the word. She's just the worst kind of parasite, leeching off of your thorough work.
You mustn't use such dirty words. Dirty words pollute your clean soul, Canon-kun. So don't use those words in front of me, at least. Alright?
Canon faced away, acting sulky. It was a dishonest reaction, very like Canon-kun.
But I was a little happy. He got angry in my place.
Cleaning the reception hall will be tough. I'll help.
Thank you. But I was the one Madam ordered, so don't worry. Don't you also have your own work, Canon-kun?
It's a filthy job. My soul was corrupted long ago.
Canon then hung his head and bit his lower lip. Just saying that you'll help is enough for me. Even if you don't go back to your own job, even you will receive punishment. And that would make me sad.
Shannon knew Canon's character well. Sometimes he didn't reflect on himself.
If I don't refuse forcefully, he will help me even if it means neglecting his own job.
Canon was a little sad that his favor had been rejected. But he realized in that end, going too far would also cause her pain. And he gave a single, small sigh. Fine. Do your best, Nissan.
Yes. Besides, I am also partly to blame.
You aren't at fault at all, Nissan.
No. I am. So go now.
Canon's face showed that he still hadn't completely accepted it, but he stopped being persistent and disappeared. Even though Canon-kun had given me words of comfort when I was down. And so, I was still dejected because it hadn't been him. That was simply a sin. Far beyond any dream the likes of me could be permitted to see. Know your place. Shannon, who had neglected breakfast, was already starting to feel her thoughts attenuate. But if she didn't finish cleaning the reception hall, she couldn't receive Natsuhi's permission to eat. That cruel Natsuhi had surely told the kitchen of that. I have to respectfully receive Madam's punishment. That's right. My position in the world is furniture, and I had been intoxicated by a dream that is beyond me. I finished cleaning the hallway and went to the reception hall. Maybe hunger makes a nose more sensitive. The kitchen was far away, but somehow I could smell the delicious aroma wafting from there, stimulating my empty stomach all the more. Until I finished up here, I could not get any soup. Soup? I just had to prepare myself. Several portraits were hung in the reception hall.
of one of those portraits was thought among the servants to hold a special meaning. It was the portrait of the witch. That wasn't its true name, but everyone in the mansion called it that. The name of the woman with elegant blonde hair drawn as the subject of that portrait was Beatrice. It whispered that she might be the former mistress of the family head, Kinzo, and also that she was the great witch who had given Kinzo his legendary gold. The witch Beatrice, master of the night on Rokanjima. She was gracious to those who respected her, but she would always curse those who made light of her. It was in Shannon's character not to neglect rules and beliefs such as those. So she thought of the portrait of her other master as that person herself, and always treated it carefully, treasuring it. And it had become part of her daily routine to talk, inside of her own head, to the witch who only existed inside the portrait. She was furniture. Furniture doesn't complain. Cannot complain. So she had no right to speak her mind about her difficult days. No right to open her mouth and say those words. So, she at least spoke her mind inside her heart. Those words she could not say aloud, she spoke inside her heart and protested to the formless witch. Of course, the witch didn't answer. She never consoled, and she never laughed it off. Shannon could only interpret that silence as she liked, as though the witch was at least listening attentively.
Beatrice-sama, please listen to me, worthless as I am.
As Shannon wiped the dust from the witch's portrait, she spoke inside her heart.
Just as Eva-sama says, I truly am incompetent and uncultured furniture. I am not a person. So maybe I have no right to love. But in that case, why was I given a heart which can know love?
Shannon paused there and held back her tears for a time. The sound of the rain, which had started falling, along with the chill air in the reception hall, made her feel as though her shabbiness had increased another level.
Real furniture doesn't have a silly thing like a heart. So they don't have to love people, right? So they don't feel pain. If I'm just another piece of furniture, why do I have a heart? If it's going to be this hard and this painful, I wish I'd never been given this stupid heart.
I see.
That fucking laugh.
To have given a heart to furniture. Amusing games that one plays sometimes. The witch, who never answered or laughed, answered and laughed.
My imagination? Hearing things? No. After all, the next words became a voice, and I could hear them, not with my heart, but with my ears.
Humans have been continually searching for the elements that make up the world since before the Christian era. It is said that the ancient Greeks tried explaining the world with the 4 elements of air, fire, water, and earth. And after that, over several millennia, humans added several elements to those 4, trying to explain the world with a host of interpretations. The 5 elements, the 6 elements, the 7 elements, the 8 elements, the 12 elements. But they could never explain the one true, single element. However, a single man appeared by the guidance of a star, and finally explained the single element that makes up the world. Do you know what it is? Shannon fearfully turned around. Right there, she existed. Not as an illusion, in reality. The contrast made by the lighting made it clear that this was not just a daydream. It is love. The witch of the portrait elegantly held a golden pipe to her mouth and giggled. She laughed at the ignorance which caused mankind's thoughts to stray far from the most simple answer. That man explained everything in the world with love. That is the single element. With the smallest possible number, that man fully explained how the world was constructed. How simple and clear. How splendid, exhilarating, pleasant, and thrilling! The year that man was born eventually came to be known as Anno Domini. Shannon lost any words to speak. She thought that when first meeting an unknown host, her first words should ask that person's name. And I appreciate the compliment. Thank you so much. Beatrice holds a very deep place in my heart. Like, this Umineko is literally one of my favorite stories of all time. And my laughter, to this day, like, when I was younger, my laughter kind of switched back and forth no matter the situation. But once I got into Umineko, my laughter changed to really reflect Beatrice in essence. It's that cackle that you hear from Beatrice, what you imagine coming out of her mouth, essentially formed the hyena witch laugh you constantly hear when you make me laugh in a good way. So yeah, like I appreciate the compliment, and it really does warm my heart to hear that people think that I would be a really good Beatrice. But without saying anything, Shannon knew this person's name, so she refrained. No. Surely, as a person of this island, asking this person for her name would be the greatest disrespect. Because she was the other master of this island in addition to Kinzo.
Beatrice-sama.
Indeed! I am Beatrice. The face people make when they first see me hasn't changed after 1,000 years. The witch giggled at how Shannon's reaction didn't betray her expectations. Shannon realized that she had met with a being that mustn't be met with, and she took a step backwards. That's where the wall and the portrait were, so even as she gazed at the witch, she supported the witch's portrait on her back. Your worries are due to love, which is the single element of the world. In other words, everything of this world. When that is not whole, it means the world is not whole. It is like continually scooping water into a flask with a hole in it. Even if you scoop and scoop, it is never filled. An internal desert of the heart. The original sin that humans are founded upon, and everything is made of. Understand? What Adam and Eve learned when they put the fruit of knowledge to their lips was love. Because of that, humans were chased out of paradise and became human. Which means that what makes one human is knowing love and suffering. Girl kind of heart. You should be proud. Now that you have known it, you are no longer furniture. Now, you are human. I recognize that upon my name. Is it hard for an inferior being to understand? Oh well. Forgive me. It has been a long time since I have spoken with a human. I shall apologize for my talkativeness. Without expecting a reply from Shannon, Beatrice laughed pleasantly for a while. I'm not sure that this is sufficient for an apology, but I can use my power to grant that desire of yours, if you'd like. Huh? The meaning of those words surprised Shannon even more than the witch's sudden appearance. I am offering to bring you and the one you love together. Normally, I would demand something of equal value in return. I'm in a good mood. And you've have never failed to pay your respects to me in the past. That is something worth rewarding.
Do you really mean it?
Normally, Shannon would have been shocked by this guest who lacked realism and who wouldn't have been able to speak. However, as though she had already been caught in the witch's trap, Shannon responded to the witch. With my magic, it is no trouble at all to arrange for a pair of people with feelings for each other to be joined.
You do mean it, don't you?
Those words almost escaped Shannon's lips, but she held herself back, with her final reserves of reason. A witch is a witch, a sinister being. The witch Beatrice is clearly trying to slip in through the cracks in my heart.
The witch Beatrice is clearly trying to slip in through the cracks in my heart and take me prisoner. That sort of temptation, which so many fairy tale picture books had warned me about when I was young, was in front of me right now.
Fear, too, is a form of respect. It may be pleasant for me, but we will make no progress this way. I may mean no different from the image of a detestable witch that you humans hold in your minds. However, I respond with goodwill to those who respect me. Aren't humans the same? Although, I doubt any human would respond with goodwill to a hostile attitude like that.
My apologies. I didn't mean...
Shannon finally realized that her hostility was rude to this guest. And she finally digested the words that had been spoken to her a short while ago. You are no longer furniture. Now, you are human. The more she reflected upon those words, the more Shannon felt as though Beatrice could understand all of her suffering.
You said something, about a reward. What did you mean?
I say that I can arrange for you to be bound to the man who has captured your heart. You can think of it as a form of gratitude for diligently polishing my portrait all of the time. Calm yourself. I ask for nothing in return. I am generous. However, though I ask for nothing in return, I do have a request.
Look, here it comes.
The other Shannon inside her heart sent her a warning. This is what she had been so often warned of in all those scary picture books she had read when she was little. Do you know of the small torii and shrine that have been constructed on a reef in the ocean very near this island? Shannon immediately remembered it. When you reached Rokonjima by boat, there was a torii and shrine on a reef which was too small to even be called an islet. She had a feeling that Kumasawa had told her its history, but she couldn't remember that very well. The traveling mountaineering Aztec or something had built it, or prayed at it, or something.
Yes, I know about it, but what does that...
I will not explain everything from square one to a person who does not know of demons. To make a long story short, it is causing problems for me. There is actually a certain mirror kept inside that shrine. I want you to break it. That was a very suspicious request. Shannon didn't know its history, but anything that might be stored inside a shrine would have to be considered sacred. And she wants
me to break it? Why would someone as powerful as a witch be unable to do that herself? And be asking a human for help?
There was no need for Shannon to speak her thoughts aloud. Beatrice started talking about this reasonable question before Shannon could give her answer. The magic power of that mirror opposes my own. I cannot explain it well with human words. By way of example, let us speak of the differences between utensils. That mirror is a fork, and my power is soup. You cannot drink soup with a fork, correct?
I could damn well try.
It would be very hard to do so, I would dare say. Also, why are you buying clothes at the soup store?
Because fuck you, that's why.
If only the imposition of that mirror were gone, I could prepare a spoon perfect for drinking soup. If only I had that, I could drink soup, even dig my way out of a rocky prison. I could even scoop eyeballs out. Is that what it was?
I I don't know what you are talking about. If it is because I am uncultured, I apologize.
It comes down to this. If you spare the effort to break that most vexing of mirrors for me, as a reward, I will grant you your wish. I'm in a very good mood today. If you desire, you may change your wish, and I can give you all of the gold I bestowed upon Kinzo.
I will have to decline.
What did you say? When she heard Shannon's words, Beatrice realized for the first time that her expectations had been betrayed. If there's a reason, tell me. If there's a misunderstanding, I shall resolve it.
I don't really know the reason. But until today, the island has been at peace, and nothing bad has happened. So, even if I don't break the mirror, the peace that has existed until today should continue into the future.
I see. That's quite right. It's just as you say. If you don't break it, the same unbreakable days that have passed until today will continue until tomorrow and the day after. Why don't I give you an absolute guarantee? Upon my name of Beatrice, I say to you, the same unbreakable days that have passed until today will continue into tomorrow and the day after. So forever in perpetuity. Shannon was seized by an eerie illusion. The mirror was most likely something to restrain the witch. So breaking the mirror should have been something done for the witch's sake. And yet, it felt as though Shannon had to do it for her own sake. It felt like some premise had been switched. I have done nothing more than give you the opportunity to have your feelings fulfilled as a reward. It's up to you whether you break it or not. If you break it, I will grant your wish. If you do not break it, the tomorrows up till today will continue for all time. Your wish will not be granted for all eternity. Do you understand? What am I saying? The witch was telling her. She was pressing her, saying to break the mirror if she wanted to be joined with George. And she was declaring that if she didn't break it, then her feelings would definitely never be fulfilled.
Please, stop it. I don't want to hear something like that.
To cause you pain was not what I wanted. Well, feeling madness from love is the best thing about humans. You should enjoy that emotion to your heart's content. However, if you wish to borrow my power, you can break that mirror at any time. And you can yell my name and awaken me. I will definitely keep my promise. This way, you should have no complaints, right? I won't force you to decide now. I take it that is easier for you. Was this deal ultimately something she could feel at ease with? Definitely not. To Shannon, who was burning with love, tormented by passion, being tempted forever by way of escape was far too cruel a trial. I won't set a time limit on that promise, but there is a time limit on the magic that can grant that wish. That limit is not mine to determine. It will be determined by your loved one himself.
Do you understand what I mean? I don't know.
The limit is the time your loved one chooses the person he should pledge his love to. I am a witch, but I am not a demon. I possess no spell which can tear apart two who love each other, you see? I hear that your loved one will soon be attending a marriage meeting. You may have stronger feelings for that man than anyone else in the world. However, that doesn't mean that you are the most appropriate for him, does it? I know who he will be having the marriage meeting with. That girl is the most suitable for Ushuramiya George in the entire world. She came from a good school, achieved good grades, and has composure and prudence. She is more beautiful than you, wiser than you, more suitable than you. Why would an ignorant, incompetent, uncultured girl like you be suitable? You know better than anyone. You are the most unsuitable. Even imagining that you and Ushuramiya George could be joined is sinful and foolish, foolish, foolish. Know your place! Have you forgotten to be grateful for your schooling? Know your place. George is the eldest grandson carrying father's blood. He is a person who may bear the burden of the Ushuramiya family someday in the future. To answer that expectation, he has studied tirelessly, entered a wonderful college, and is getting wonderful grades. You think that you are in his league, you incompetent, unqualified, uncultured servant? Stop it! Don't bully Shannon! Who the hell are you? At that time, as Shannon held her head, trying to protect her heart from the blade of Beatrice's words, Cannon ran in front of her. Cannon didn't care who this woman was. As long as he knew she was the enemy tormenting Shannon, who he loved and respected as a sister, nothing else mattered. Cannon-kun! Stay back! This person is... It seemed that Cannon also realized that the being standing before him was the witch of the portrait. And also that she was a truly terrifying being. I just wanted to make Shannon take her reward. But it seems I said too much and ended up tormenting her. I shall apologize. But I will leave that promise as a reward to you. If you need my power, call me at any time. I already have told you how. Well then, with that, let us disperse for the night. Hostile gazes may be pleasant, but they are bad for the figure, you see. Beat it! I don't know who you are, but you're threatening Shannon! Don't ever show yourself again! It seemed that Cannon's words made the witch horribly displeased. So, you do not choose your words carefully, lowborn? I am gracious to those who respect me, but brutal to those who do not. While she still smiled, the witch's expression began to warp. An oppressive feeling that couldn't be described with any of the five senses gradually filled the room. Even though they couldn't comprehend what it was, they immediately realized it to be something terrifying. If you were swimming in the ocean, and something large went by in the water beneath you, you would want to escape to the land even before you learned what it was. That was the same as that. This was the same as that. Please stop me, Beatrice-sama! Cannon-kun is still a child! I apologize for his language! Cannon blocked the way to Shannon at the risk of his life. There was a tense sweat on his forehead. In that moment, the witch certainly had Cannon's fate in her clutches. She didn't even need to move a finger. She had Cannon's fate so readily in her grasp that she could crush it completely with a single twist of her own smile. Cannon also understood that, which is why he was sweating, and his knees felt weak. However, Beatrice abruptly released that feeling of tension and laughed. Very well. At your request, I will grant him special pardon. Canon, is it? In deference to her, I shall forgive you tonight and send you off. Be thankful. Well then, we will disperse for tonight. In parting, I shall leave a single souvenir. Hold out the palms of your left hands, you two. Beatrice grinned broadly and snapped her fingers, whereupon their left hands stretched out in front of them and their palms opened against their will. It was a strange sensation, as though only their left hands had become someone else's. It felt as if like their left hands alone had become puppets, pulled by strings hanging down from the ceiling. What do you think you're doing? Cannon resisted, but he couldn't take back the freedom of his left hand. Don't struggle. It will not take long. Beatrice held her pipe aloft, and from inside the smoke, gold-colored sparkling dust hovered in the air. The glitter eventually became several gold butterflies. The beautiful butterflies danced freely throughout the reception hall, creating a fantastical and beautiful world. And the two of those butterflies alighted on the palms of Shannon and Cannon's hands. It was a sharp pain, as though they had been burned. When the two of them tried to examine their palms, there was no trace left of that inability to move their bodies, which had been there until a second ago.
Bruce? What is...
On the palm of her hand, a small burn mark that had been made the size of a pea. Furthermore, it was shaped like a butterfly. What is this supposed to be? Apparently Cannon had the same bruise on his hand. He stared at the witch hatefully. It is a simple greeting. I have no hidden motive. It is nothing more than a bruise, so it will heal in just a few days. It requires no treatment. That is a mark, so be that tomorrow you will not forget that I truly was here, and that I made a promise with you. The impact of a meeting with me is strong. Sometimes, at the next morning, people try to think of their meeting with me as a dream or an illusion. You should think slowly and carefully, Shannon. And you should probably take a good rest. Look at my mark tomorrow morning, and try thinking again. I should not force you to do anything. You should freely decide your future by your own will. However, to think that the object of your desire can be granted for such meager compensation, it would annoy the great artists who write plays about blind love to no end. Well then, let us meet again when the chance arises. It truly was entertaining to have a conversation again after so much time. Farewell, furniture. Chapter going well? I think the chapter's going great. I don't know about y'all. How are you all doing in the chat? Do you like this chapter? It doesn't matter. This chapter's happening. Hello! What's that? Oh. Okay. Okay. Beatrice's body crumbled like smoke and blew away. I love it! Thank you! It was golden smoke. No. Flight of golden butterflies. They scattered in all directions inside the reception hall, leaving a golden mist behind as they disappeared into thin air. After that, only the cold silence was left. The extreme silence was enough to make both of them think that they might have been daydreaming until just a moment ago, which is why the witch had left it. She had left a mark to make it impossible for them to think that this was a daydream. As Shannon and Cannon thought back on the butterfly bruises on their hands, and the pain they had felt when those had been left, They stood there for some time, stunned and motionless. From that day on, Shannon was tormented by days of suffering and conflict. You must burn your breakfast because you're too in the story. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please don't do that. Eh? What do you mean separate rooms? Then, Shannon, you and George and his son stayed in different rooms on purpose?
Yes. Was it that strange a thing to do?
Since Jessica's cheeks had been stuffed with chocolate-coated Shinzoko biscuits that Shannon had brought as a souvenir from Okinawa, it all flew out of Shannon when Jessica cried out. Shannon, why did you even go on a trip to Okinawa then? And even alone with George and Isan?
That's because, I mean, since there's a very big aquarium in Okinawa, I was invited to go, and I like fish and stuff.
No, I mean, like, this is a young couple going on an overnight trip, right? And you're saying there weren't even any hugs and kisses? To say nothing of the fact that the guy and girl were staying in different rooms!
As for kisses, no comment.
But we did hug, though?
George's son's chest was warm.
That's not the point! Ah, jeez. Why do couples like this exist? Ah, jeez! It's so damn irritating! From Shannon's perspective, a lot of things had happened and it seemed to have been a very happy trip. But it looked like the missed opportunity had left Jessica feeling greatly unfulfilled. For a while, Jessica chewed on her souvenir, writhing on her bed as she complained about their romance. Shannon and George had chosen to go to Okinawa because there was a huge aquarium there. That was because their first meeting had revolved around an aquarium. Since they had started at an aquarium, having their first overnight trip would also be an aquarium must have held some commemorative value. This was your special commemorative trip, your turning point, your first overnight trip! Shouldn't have there been all kinds of progress? And yet, separate rooms with a guy and girl. A couple taking 2 single rooms. Ah, jeez, really? What's wrong with you?
But we're both single. George's son says that respecting boundaries is good manners between men and women.
Oh, for hell's sake! This overnight trip was so you could overcome that, wasn't it? You're not at the stage of mere hugs and kisses anymore!
But, milady, I don't know what you mean by that, but George Sama was a real gentleman with me until the end. That is, I mean, I also wondered if those things would happen, you know. But we may be going out, but, I mean, it's not as if are married or anything. The kind of thing you seem to be expecting, my lady. I mean, we must do so only after we properly make a vow in front of God, and, we mustn't. Oh.
Shannon's face was bright red. She was restlessly fidgeting, making a circle with both hands, then a chain link, continuously intertwining, separating, and making a heart shapes with them. Apparently, the dramatic progress Jessica had looked forward to hadn't happened, but it seemed that it had been a very important experience for Shannon in her own way. Yes, if anyone is confused of what's going on, Jessica literally wanted George and Shannon to bang. There was literally like, you two to Okinawa, 1 hotel. You know what couples do in hotels? Insert Pornhub theme. So in the end, no matter how much Jessica envied Shannon or made fun of her, it didn't change the fact that Shannon had a huge lead on her. I want a boyfriend too! I can't believe believe you beat me to it! We promised we'd get boyfriends at the same time, but you stuck ahead and beat me! Ah!
Milady, you are a wonderful person, so I'm sure you'll find someone even more wonderful than I did before long.
So is this how you argue with yourself whenever you try to flirt with Bryan? Shut the fuck up, Retro. Don't talk about my brain like that. What? What? Shut up. Moving on. Don't try to console me! Shannon, you traitor! Get out of here! You suck! Jessica threw several cushions at her, but midway she had an asthma attack and started to cough pretty badly. Shannon hurriedly ran over to her and took a look on top of the nearby side table. An adorable basket was placed there, and inside of it was Jessica's inhaler. Shannon picked it up and handed it over to Jessica. Jessica's asthma attacks always came suddenly. Because of this, she had to carry this medicine around with her at all times. She breathed in the medicine, and after some time spent holding it back her coughing, her asthma finally settled down. Shannon thought this was a good chance to leave, bowed courteously, and made to exit the room. As she did, one more small cushion came flying and hit Shannon on the head. She looked around and saw that Jessica was on the verge of crying, half her face buried in her last and favorite cushion. That face was red and meek.
Milady?
Shannon, be honest with me. Is my hairdo and stuff strange?
What are you saying? I think that your hair is very beautiful.
Then are my eyes strange? Or maybe my nose? Or is it the way I talk after all? Is that why I can't get a boyfriend?
Of course not. Milady, you are wonderful enough as you are. And I think that your charm will keep on increasing more and more.
But it's only me who can't get a boyfriend. Saku and Hina managed to find one, but I can't. I'm the only one. It's because I don't have any charm after all? You know, everyone's gonna be bringing their boyfriend along to the cultural festival. I was so sure I'd have a boyfriend by then. I've been grandstanding about it. But I can't get a boyfriend to save my life. I'm the only one. The only one. Before she realized it, Jessica was shedding huge tears. Jessica hadn't really planned on crying, and of course, she felt like supporting Shannon's progress in love as a friend. However, as she made fun of Shannon, her true feelings had suddenly gotten mixed in, and the tears had just poured out on their own. Shannon understood Jessica's innocent and easily injured heart. Jessica's usually rough style of speech was all just an attempt to protect her own easily injured heart. As a daughter and a successor to the Ushirimiya family, and as a girl isolated on Rokonjima, the only person she could expose her true feelings to was Shannon. Shannon understood that. So, she strongly regretted feeling a little too self-satisfied. Sorry. Crying like this, I'm weird. Sorry.
You are a wonderful person, milady. There's no way that a nice man won't appear for you.
Shannon, it's about time for you, right? If you don't go soon, Genji-san and Mom are gonna yell at you. I'm totally fine, so get going. Sorry for crying like this. I'm such a moron. Jessica faced away as if to show she wasn't looking for attention, and waved her hand as though to drive Shannon away. Shannon took that as a sign that she didn't want to be badgered anymore, bowed her head, and left the room. When her footsteps disappeared into the distance, Jessica laid down on her bed, still hugging the cushion. Her expression was still a little meek, with tears in her eyes. But for the first time in a long time, she had very, very quiet and honest conversation with her heart. The wind is picking up rather fiercely up in here.
I also want to fall in love.
As Shannon watered the flower beds in the garden in high spirits, she sensed someone's presence. She turned around, thinking that if one of the family had come to visit, she must greet them. And what she saw was that witch.
Beatrice-sama!
It's been quite some time. How are you? Has your relationship with your special person progressed since last time? As Beatrice sat on the rose arch, she happily blew on her pipe. Sitting in a place that would crush the roses. And it might have been dangerous if he fell off the arch. But after all, this was a witch. That was surely an unnecessary concern.
Yes. Thanks to you, it's going smoothly.
Naturally. My magic is instantaneous. You may even be feeling as if your meeting was a predetermined fate. But that isn't correct. Don't think for a moment this has anything to do with fate.
I understand that.
The witch was calling attention to something. Two things, actually. That originally, her relationship with George had been completely impossible. And that her magic power is so great, it could manipulate that fate. Shannon had become swept up in these sweet days, and had started to fall under the illusion that all fate was revolving around her. But the witch's words made her remember. Her relationship with George had originally been impossible. No, it might also be impossible in the future as well. Sorry. It's just like a doctor. Even though you rely on them when you worry about your health, after you're healed, you forget to even thank them. Witches have never thanks, so I couldn't help acting a little rudely. Forgive me.
I have never forgotten my feelings of gratitude. I was able to achieve happiness thanks to your power, Beatrice-sama. And without that power, George-sama and I would have had no fate together. I have never forgotten that.
Sorry. This was not my intent. I didn't come here to bully you. Talking rudely is just my personality. Do forgive me. More importantly, I heard it through the grapevine. You two went on a little private trip. I'm sure it was quite fun.
Yes, it was very fun.
Does George only have feelings for Shannon because Beatrice made him fall in love? I don't know. Because remember, Beatrice's magic made this all happen. At the same time, George did kind of get a little blushy-wushy when it comes to Shannon. A little blushy-wushy. So, I don't know. Maybe George liked Shannon before. Maybe Beatrice made him fall in love. I don't know.
Was the date before or after?
In the sequence of timelines that we've seen so far, it is Shannon recognizing George as a man, Beatrice offering up to help, Shannon breaking the shrine mirror, then the date. Yes. That whole shrine breaking thing, that was Shannon. So, is magic real? Or is it all a lie? I guess y'all gonna have to figure it out. Shannon's face suddenly grew bright. The witch laughed slightly, as though that transformation was worth money. Already the person of your thoughts is no longer an object of one-sided love. You are a pair of lovers now. To a pair filled with love, that alone is all they need in the world. A wonderful, ideal world, so to speak. Even witches would be jealous. Beatrice laughed pleasantly. That smile was without a trace of malice. making her look as though she blessed the lovers' secret meeting from the bottom of her heart. After that day, Beatrice has shown herself before Shannon every once in a while. Even now, Shannon still thought of her as a creepy being. However, she was also hugely indebted to this person for bestowing the magic that had given her the relationship she had with George. So Shannon was trying with all her might not to be surprised or scared.
Oh yes. Beatrice-sama, I bought some confectionery as a souvenir from our trip. Would you, like some?
Oh? A souvenir for a witch. It seemed that even the witch who boasted of living for 1,000 years hadn't been able to predict that she would receive a souvenir from a pair of sweet lovers. When she saw that surprised expression, Shannon thought of the witch as a friend for the first time. Oh, Oriental cookies made from wheat flour and lard. To wrap that in chocolate in the Western fashion is truly a blending of Japanese and Western style. The Silk Road of confectionery. What? What's so funny?
Nothing. My apologies.
This mysterious witch, who surely held a terrifying power, was chomping down on the treats one after another, making a sound like a squirrel stuffing walnuts into its mouth. After a while, Shannon could not conceal her laughter, just imagining Beatrice as like a squirrel, like those like a little hamster, like. Oh my god! Fine treat. I should serve you some dolce vita from Nero one of these days. Roses are a symbol of eternal love. Why is this game making me like Beatrice? I don't know. Yeah, I do sound like that when I eat cookies. I have a bunch of cookies somewhere, and that's literally me. I'm just kind of like, but if it's Oreos, I make sure to dunk that in milk and eat it so it's nice and soft and tender in my mouth. But other cookies that have like the crunchy taste, I'm 100% on board with. 100% on board. I believe a rose dolce would be appropriate for you now. The witch was in a great mood, having enjoyed the modern treats to the full.
Here. I truly can't thank you enough. I believe you have done more than enough for me already, so I am returning this.
The thing that Shannon had softly set on the table was a gold-colored butterfly brooch. There is no need to return it. If you continue holding that, your relationship should remain firm in perpetuity.
I may have been given the chance to meet him through the power of magic, but I think the effort that will make that encounter eternal, should come from the two of us cooperating together.
So love, too, is like a rose. Too much fertilizer causes the roots to rot. Some flowers cannot be raised without hard work. In that case, do what you wish. You may keep it in a box rather than on your person. That is my goodwill given to you. It would not please me to have it returned.
My apologies. That's not what I...
No harm has been done. That brooch is already yours. If you treasure that as proof of our friendship, that would comfort me a little. You may hold on to it and gain its benefits. You may also keep it in a box. If you wish, you are even free to give it to another who is worrying about love. But you should regard it as important. It would certainly pain my heart if you did not take care of it. According to Beatrice, she had appeared several times in the past in response to a person's summons so that she could give them an item imbued with some kind of magical power. However, most of them, after they used that power to resolve their worries, would quickly come to think of that power as creepy, and forgetting their feelings of thanks, they would throw away the items that had been given with disgust. Which is why I haven't often received thanks for my goodwill. Let's see. Is this the first time? The witch laughed heartily, but it looked like a sad laugh to Shannon's eyes. She herself had been like that in the past. No, maybe she was still like that now. Beatrice was definitely a witch, with a strange and terrifying power. Most likely, no one would go along with her if they could help it. And even though on occasion they had relied on her strange power, it undoubtedly resulted in fear more often than gratitude. It must have deeply hurt the witch that repeated over and over. From the moment she had realized this, Shannon decided to stop being frightened of Beatrice. That had surely tormented her for over 1,000 years. Maybe she really liked the treats. Beatrice, who normally spoke abusively, praised the black tea that Shannon served her, and looked to be in remarkably high spirits. On such terms, the witch and the servant grew animated, talking about the trip with George. Shannon didn't know much about Beatrice. First off, she was a ghost-like being who appeared in unexpected places at unexpected times. And it seemed that not everyone could perceive that she was there. It seemed that each person had something called a wavelength, and that there was a great amount of individual variation in people's abilities to perceive the witch. Only Shannon and Cannon could interact with her enough to exchange words like this. There were a few people who could sense her presence, but most people couldn't even feel that much. From what Beatrice said, Kraus and his wife in particular had zero magical talent. And no matter how much she followed them around, they would never notice her. Previously, when Shannon had messed up and Natsuki had gotten really mad at her, Beatrice had started playing around, hitting Natsuki on the head with her pipe. Indeed, Natsuki seemed completely oblivious. But Shannon, watching that, had burst out laughing without thinking, and had gotten scolded even more. Then, what about the master? I hear that he has been doing research in magic, so I'm sure he would be able to notice you, Beatrice-sama. Kinzo is the same. There is no one with a more pitiful lack of magical talent. It's the blood. He has so little talent, he's worthy of sympathy. Huh? As soon as they started talking about Kinzo, it felt like the atmosphere around Beatrice changed. She had spoken about Kraus and the rest's lack of magical talent as though she looked down on them. But she spoke of Kinzo in a different way. Anyone connected to the Ushinomiya family would know about Kinzo's legend of the gold. According to the legend, Kinzo had summoned the witch Beatrice and had been conferred gold. In short, that implied that she had some kind of relationship with Kinzo. So you see, he attained that level despite not having a single scrap of talent. It was through frenzied solitary study that he reached their tier of magic. That he reached the tier of mage.
That's something really incredible, right?
The witch, who usually looked down on people, was unexpectedly praising someone. While she lambasted Kinzo, calling him talentless, she praised his efforts.
And then the master summoned you with the power of magic.
Well, I only answered the summons on a whim. In this period where magic has long been denied, there I saw a being without a scrap of talent giving it his all. It was just my luck that I decided to come and laugh at him. The words, "just my luck," showed that this had been a disaster for her. Shannon hesitated over whether it would be alright to encourage her to continue, but Beatrice continued on her own, ignoring Shannon. The format and rules were all there at least. He'd mixed up a few of the procedures, but, well, in deference to his enthusiasm, I generously responded to his contract, and I gave him a mountain of gold. Then the master used that gold and succeeded in business and grew his wealth to what it is today. Oh, sorry, that was Shannon, my bad. His talent in magic was nothing, but it seems he had talent in business and gambling. Or was it because of his bravery and madness to stake everything on irrational bets? Madness sometimes brings about magic. Yes, if I look at it that way, maybe I can't really say that Kinzo had absolutely no magical talent. Shannon felt like she was daydreaming. While everyone at the Ushinomiya family knew of the story that Kinzo had delved into sorcery, summoned a witch, and been given gold, in actuality, it was all rambling that no one believed in. And now the witch herself was telling her that it was true. Shannon felt a little flustered at this insane secret that only she knew. Then Kinzo, who obtained a vast fortune, satisfied his every dream that would be granted in the human world. And finally, he sought the truth of the word. He sought the truth of the world.
The truth of the world?
The single element that makes up the world. Kinzo, who had achieved everything one could obtain in the human world, wanted that, the final desire humans seek. The single element. She felt like she had heard the witch say those words before. When Beatrice saw Shannon trying to remember what it was, she smiled awkwardly, waving her hand and saying there was no need to remember. I underestimated Kinzo a trifle. I truly hadn't thought that he would display such power. And thanks to that, I'm in this state.
State of what? Ohio?
Oh, if only. I've been sewn in place on this island for several decades now, without even a friend to drink tea with. My voice reaches none I call to, and I cannot go anywhere. Such boring decades. As she laughed in self-derision, she tapped her teacup with her finger. It made the clear sound of porcelain. Shannon didn't know whether the word self-derision was really an accurate expression to describe the look on the witch's face. Shannon didn't understand everything, but she could more or less figure out the situation. You found a person playing When They Cry? Great! If you know the story. Don't spoil it. Thank you very much. There's also the trigger list in case anyone needs a reminder of the triggers. Thank you. Sum up everything she had said up till now. Show it again. Oh, you mean the trigger list? Yeah. Here's your trigger list. Murder, child abuse, SA, violence, incest, torture, cannibalism, body mutilation, depictions of death and harm, generational trauma, body dysmorphia, and many, many more.
Everybody got that?
Okay, good. Beatrice, who had been summoned by Kinzo's magic, could not leave this island for some reason. And she had lost her power in her form, living her days in boredom. Oh, you mean the chair smack again? There you go. During that time, her words had reached Shannon, who never forgot to strongly respect the witch. And she had made Shannon help her regain her power, even if only a little bit of it. As a result, she had become able to drink tea with Shannon like this.
Beatrice-sama, when in the world was that mirror you told me to break?
Ah, that topic. It seems that a lot of things happened on the islands around this area in the distant past. Bad things gathered due to that, attracting bad distortions. It seems that a traveling Eastern mage or someone built a shrine for the repose of souls and sealed them in there. That in itself had nothing to do with me. But unfortunately, the foundation of that magical power was different. It created a strong interference with my own magic. It was extremely bothersome.
Is that how it was? I just assumed that it had been sealing you, Beatrice-sama.
I was not its target, but it was a divine mirror. As a result, my power was sealed away. If I were to use food as an example, maybe it would go something like this. Let's say I have ordered some Western cuisine, which was being made in the kitchen. However, when it comes time for it to be served, the seating is in the Japanese style, and Japanese tableware had been laid out. So the kitchen is unable to take out the plate, which would have been out of place, and no matter how long I wait, my Western food won't arrive. Something like that. So I had you destroy the Japanese-style seating and return the area to a blank slate for a time. Thanks to that, the meal I had ordered has finally arrived, and my power came back, you could say. However, so far, only the aperitif has arrived. It will still be quite some time before the main dish. As I am now, I'm even more faint than a fairy in a shoe store.
Are we sure about this?
What's so funny?
Nothing. I was just thinking witches' analogies are so interesting. I never thought you could use food as an analogy to talk about magic.
I have thought it to be a skillful description, if I do say so myself, and I certainly did not imagine it would be laughed at. I feel a little offended. A slightly sulky expression rose to the witch's face. It would not have been a strange expression at all to see that appear on the face of two friends as they enjoyed their tea. Although I may not look like it, I was known for doing extremely brutal things in the past. I've gotten soft. Now I can even have a foolish discussion while drinking tea with a human. She was probably talking to herself. As Beatrice gazed at the seabirds tracing the horizon, she put her tea to her lips again. The clouds have come out. When the ocean loses its brilliance, it's nothing more than a great puddle.
You think so? I think the ocean is a beautiful deep blue, even if it gets cloudy.
Maybe the witch had noticed the deep meaning behind Shannon's words. She laughed lightly and set down her empty teacup. It seems that those things buried in your eyes aren't black pebbles anymore. So, do you understand the feeling of furniture being reborn as a human?
Yes. I didn't know that the world was this kind.
Since her relationship with George had begun, Shannon's face had grown brighter more often. Her smile had made everything go smoothly, and had even changed her luck. Shannon made fewer mistakes in her work than she did before, and the family members' opinions of her was starting to change slightly. Just the other day, Krause, who rarely exchanged words with her, had suddenly started talking to her, surprising her.
You've been making a good smile more often lately, haven't you? Has something good happened?
No, but every day is fun, yes.
Isn't that good to hear? Coffee is obviously more delicious if it's poured with a smile. Could I ask for another cup with that smile again?
Yes.
That had become a chance for Shannon to gain confidence in herself. Of course, it didn't go beyond her own heart, and it wasn't so big to change that it was a big change that anyone could see it. But she had begun to change, bit by bit. Shannon understood it clearly. To know love was to gain a soul, and therefore to be born again from furniture to a human. There was absolutely nothing mistaken in Beatrice's words. By knowing love, Shannon had learned what it was to be human. These have been unusual snacks. And people saying being with a man doesn't make you happy. Being with someone you love, whether it be romantic, platonic, whatever the case may be, will change you. 100%. Because you feel comfort. You feel whole. You feel like you can confide in another person. It's rough because for me, I have major trust issues. In the workplace, in platonic relationships, in romantic relationships, and even sexual relationships, I have major trust issues. The fact that Bryan is with me proves the point that no matter where you are, no matter what has been done to you, you can always find happiness. You can always find joy. You can always find that bliss that will change you into a better human being. Period. Yeah. These have been unusual snacks. This was time well spent. It's probably about time for you to return to your work. Let us end our tea party now. After all, It seems there are some who dislike your drinking tea with me, you see?
Huh?
The witch gripped a teaspoon and flipped it with her fingers, sending it up in the air. Then it was flicked by the fingers of some invisible person into the empty space and flew straight into a bush close nearby.
Of course.
The bush moved violently and Cannon came out. It seemed that he had been there for some time and had been watching their tea party. The spoon was gripped in his hand. If he had not been able to catch it by reflex, it might have hit him hard in the forehead and caused him to start oozing blood.
That's some sharp spoon.
Calm yourself. Our tea party is over now, Cannon.
How long were you there? If you had called to us, I would have poured you some tea too.
I imagine you didn't want to interrupt a pair of women talking, right? Cannon kept silent, but it seemed that there was a slightly hostile look in his eyes. On the outside, he acted respectfully. But unlike Shannon, Cannon did not trust the witch. Beatrice rapped the table with her pipe, and the tea turned into gold butterflies, which flew upwards in unison. They scattered in every direction, and the cleanup was already done.
That was fun, Shannon.
Let us meet again if the chance arises. My magical power is still quite lacking. It's tiring to even show myself. If it tires you that much, never appear again. Cannon still had said it in a small voice, but it seemed the witch had heard it perfectly. She giggled, but did not reply. Shannon, tell me more about George at our next tea party. There are no snacks sweeter than a person's love life. I bid you farewell.
It looked like she got Thanos snapped.
I mean, yeah. Beatrice's body also became gold butterflies, which scattered in all directions and disappeared. It was a very fantastical and beautiful scene, like a blizzard of gold leaf. For a while, Shannon quietly watched the witch's exit. Cannon approached her from behind and spoke with a very different expression on his face than his sister's. Nesan, didn't I tell you shouldn't hang around with her?
Beatrice-sama isn't that bad of a person. Yes, she might be a little strange, but
the fact that only we can see her is suspicious enough. She isn't human. Who knows what she's planning?
Cannon-kun, I think that's a little rude.
Shannon spoke seriously, which was unusual for her. The Cannon, who knew her well, it must have seemed extremely serious. Cannon showed almost excessive surprise at Shannon's style of speech and remained silent.
It's true that Beatrice-sama is different from humans. She has a terrifying power, and so I think she is to be feared and respected. But I think it's really rude to loathe her just for the single reason that she's different from a human.
I know what you're trying to say, Nesan. You've changed since she gave you that brooch. It's like you're the witch's prisoner. She mediated your relationship with George-sama, and now you're indebted to her.
Don't say things like that.
She isn't human. We don't know what she's thinking. You mustn't trust her. And we aren't humans either. Nesan. Cannon's words became more serious. Those words probably gouged at Shannon's heart. Shannon bit her lower lip and hung her head. We are furniture. Even if we receive names and are treated as humans, that won't change how we were born. You are no longer furniture. Those words Beatrice had given her, which had made her feel happiest of all, floated through Shannon's mind.
I am not furniture.
No, you are. We are less than human.
Fuck you, I am.
Nesan, you're acting like you've forgotten that, and you're just pretending to be human. You should understand that yourself.
I'm not furniture. I'm human.
No, you aren't human. From the beginning, we have been unqualified to love or be loved. It seemed that Cannon's criticisms had shifted focus from Shannon's interactions with the witch. Shannon also noticed that quickly. I heard from a lady. Seriously, what were you thinking? I can't believe that you would go on a trip with George-sama! You've forgotten your place as furniture! You've just been tempted by that witch, and mistakenly believe that you became human!
Listen, Cannon-kun. We certainly are furniture.
What? Why are you giggling? What giggle? Why you giggle?
I could imagine she'd be like, listen, Cannon-kun. Cope.
Cope!
Listen, Cannon-kun. Cope!
Yes, they were born in IKEA, MKU. That is now canon. No, that's canon.
We certainly are furniture. Lesser beings inferior to humans. But if we were to gain the missing remainder, wouldn't that mean we'd have become human?
That couldn't happen.
No, it could. If we can gain that, we won't be furniture. We can become human.
Ridiculous. As if we could. Cannon spat that out, but weakly, and turned away. It is probably resignation. The baptism of days upon days of suffering and being furniture had firmly sealed his heart.
You can too, Cannon-kun. You can become a normal human.
Stop it. That's the witch talking.
That's right. Beatrice-sama taught me. By gaining the single element of the world, we can become human. No, nobody's human without that. That's why.
I'm sorry, I'm just guessing, like, do we know what that single element?
Love.
Right, yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I wanted to double check.
Yeah, that's why the biggest thing for Umineko, and this is not a spoiler because Beatrice has already talked about this. This is not a spoiler. Love is the singular element that has created the world and continuously lets it grow. It's love. That's why Umineko fans recognize the phrase, without love, it cannot be seen. Because without love, nothing exists. Without love, something cannot exist. Thus, the singular element of the world is love. I have no idea what you're talking about, Nesan. I don't want to listen to rambling.
And I'll teach you in a way you can understand. Look, see what I'm pointing at?
Huh? Shannon pointed straight at the sea, at the horizon. Cannon didn't understand what she was actually pointing at. He couldn't do anything except look between the horizon and Shannon's expression, which looked like it was posing a riddle.
The ocean. Cannon-kun, what color does the ocean look to you?
It was all too simple question. It's magenta! We're in JoJo? Cannon tried to guess the meaning behind the question for a while, but since he couldn't think of anything, he gave his answer straightforwardly. It's an uninspiring dark gray. So what? Objectively speaking, the sea, laid out beneath the cloudy sky, could probably be described best by Cannon's words. But Shannon closed her eyes and smiled, shook her head slightly.
It looks deep blue to me.
Is that what you mean? Like using the word blue for a green traffic light?
No. The ocean is deep blue. If you can see that, if I can see that, and you can't, then that's exactly the reason.
Cannon bit his lower lip and was silent for a while.
What if he's colorblind, you asshole?
Blue's not part of the colorblind spectrum.
I can't see it.
Cannon-kun, stick out your hand.
As Cannon stood bewildered, unable to understand what she was saying, she took his arm and opened the palm of his hand. Shannon softly said something there. It was the magic brooch, that which she received from Beatrice. The magic charm shaped like a gold butterfly, which could fulfill love. This is her.
No, this is mine. So, Think of it as me, and treat it with respect, okay?
After being told that, he couldn't just throw it away. Cannon didn't know what he should do, and he stood there confused for a while, the brooch still in the palm of his hand. Shannon put the palm of her hand on top of Cannon's, and the brooch was worn by both of their hands.
This charm holds true magical power. I'm sure that it will teach you an important emotion, Cannon-kun.
There is nothing her magic can teach me.
No, there is. So wear it. If that's embarrassing, I hear it's okay if you just hide it in your pocket.
Ridiculous. As if I'd be led astray by her magic. Even as she said that, Cannon couldn't be cold-hearted towards something Shannon was pressing on him. In the end, Cannon agreed reluctantly to take it, saying he'd prove that he wouldn't surrender to the witch's power. Shannon smiled and nodded back.
I'm sure you can learn something important from it. And I'm sure you can become human. When you do, I'm sure this ocean will look like a beautiful blue to you as well.
Gray is great, no matter how many times you look.
That's wrong, Cannon-kun. It only looks that way because you have no...
Feel free to interpret that censor however you will. There is an answer. I cannot say what it is, though.
It don't look like that because he has no bitches.
No bitch.
It only looks that way because you have no bitches.
Oh my god!
You should have never given me that power.
Take the power. It's fine. Ryukishio 7 gave us this power for a reason.
Huh?
Because of the howling wind, he hadn't been able to catch the critical part of what she'd said. So Shannon said it once more. The single element of the world. You all are wrong, bitches! He spoke once more of a world full of that element, where the sea was a deep blue.
I'm sure you'll be able to see a deep ocean. After all, without love, it cannot be seen.
That's the thing. That's the tag. That's the tag of the game. Guys, that's the tag of the game! Right there!